Hello students, welcome to Nagesh Karajagi Orchid School. Myself Snehal Mane, teaching you science for grade 6. In previous class we have completed till lesson number 7. Now we are going to start with lesson number 8, that is body movements. So this is the last lesson from our term 1 syllabus, lesson number 8, that is body movements. So in this lesson we are going to see about the movements that our body does. So there are different types of movements and we are going to study about the joints and about the invertebrates. So let us see it. Body movements. In this lesson we are going to study about the joints, skeleton, muscles, gait of animals, and then we are going to recap. See here, trees cannot move around and collect their food as they are immobile, means they cannot move from one place to another. Immobile means they cannot move from one place to another. Trees cannot move around and collect their food because they need not to, because they prepare their own food, they can prepare their own food, say, so they need not to go from one place to another place in search of food. Okay. So trees cannot move, but what about animals? Yeah, animals need food. If they sit at one place, can they get the food? No, they cannot get. So animals are capable of movements. They can move from one place to the another, like walking, running, flying, swimming, etc. They can change their place or location and can also hunt for food themselves. Okay. So animals move from one place to another place. All organisms show movements. We observe many movements in our body too. We chew and grind the food by moving our jaws and teeth. The heart contracts and expands to circulate blood to all parts of the body. So this is also a movement. We see objects around us by moving through our eyeballs. The chest moves back and forth when we breathe. The change in the position of any part of the body with respect to its axis is called movement. Listen here, the change in the position of any part of the body with respect to its axis is called movement. Plants also show movements. For example, the leaves of mimosa plant move. Yes, when we touch it, they just move. The flowers of daisy plant move at night. Movement is necessary for the survival of all the living organisms, plants as well as animals. Plants do not go from one place to another place, but due to air, just the branches can be moved aside a little. So we are going to study about locomotion. Okay. So locomotion is nothing but a movement. A movement. Movement means moving from one place to another place. Movement is a characteristic feature of living organisms. Movement is a characteristic feature of living organisms. Kinesiology is the study of movements. Biomechanics chiefly includes study of animal locomotions. Study of animal locomotions. The movement of whole body of an organism from one place to another place is called locomotion. What is it? The movement of whole body of an organism from one place to the another is called locomotions. Plants are mostly fixed to the ground, so they do not show locomotion. Animals have the ability to show locomotions, that is, they move from one place to the another. Locomotion is possible in animals in various ways, like walking, running, swimming, flying, hopping. Yes. For example, walking in case of human being, running in case of horses, swimming in the case of fish, flying in the case of birds and hopping in the case of kangaroos, etc. Okay. So, movement is nothing but locomotion. What is locomotion? The movement of a whole body of living organism moving from one place to the another is known as locomotion. So, we can say that movement is the change in posture of body, parts or organs, while locomotion is the change in position of the entire organism to a considerable distance. Okay. What is movement? Change in the posture of body. And what is locomotion? Locomotion is the change in position of entire organisms to a particular distance. Hence, this is the example of movement and this is the example of locomotion. Hence, plants may not be locomotive, but they exhibit movement, they can move. They have movement, but they cannot be locomotive, means they cannot move from one place to the other place. Importance of locomotion. Why we need to move from one place to another place? Locomotion helps animals in several ways. It helps them to find their food and water. Yes, animals need to locomote because they need to find their food and water. They need to protect themselves. They need to protect themselves from the enemies and the predators. They move from an unfavorable environment to a favorable environment. They move from unfavorable environment to a favorable environment. Find suitable places for laying eggs or rearing their young ones. So, these are the different things where animals need to locomote. Yeah. Before we discuss different types of movements in animals, let us take a look at the skeletal system of our body that helps in movement of our body parts and locomotion. Students, we know that we can locomote. Yes, that means we the human beings can move from one place to the another. So, what helps us to move from one place to another? Our body parts, especially skeleton and the muscles, right. So, we are going to see about our parts. Body parts responsible for movements are muscles, bones and joints. So, we are locomotives. So, our body parts helps us in the movement and locomotion. So, which are the body parts responsible for our movements? Those are muscles, bones and joints. Let us see about our skeletal system. All vertebrates have special hard structure making up the innermost scaffold of their body known as the skeleton. Okay? All vertebrates have a special hard structure, okay, is known as skeleton. Skeleton is made up of bones which are hard calcium rich units. All the bones in the body along with softer cartilages are known as skeletal system. The framework of all the bones in our body is called the skeleton. Framework, this is the framework of all the bones in our body is called as skeleton. The skeleton of an adult human is made up of how many bones? Yes, 206 bones. How do we know the shape of human body? We get some idea about the shape and the number of bones in some parts of the body by feeling them. Another way is to look at the X-ray image of a human body. Sometimes when we are hurt, doctors use this X-ray image to find out about possible injuries to the bones. A child has more bones than an adult person. The bones are about 305, but as the child grows, some of the bones fuse together and reduce in number. So, what is the function of these bones? Let us see. Bone. Bone is the tough connective tissue. Bone is the tough connective tissue. It is as flexible as cartilage and has calcium salts. This is made up of calcium. It is tough connective tissue. Human body has 206 different bones. 206 different bones. Before that, we will see about the functions of skeleton. So, why do we have skeleton? What are the functions of skeleton? It gives shape and support to the body. It gives shape and support to the body. It protects delicate internal organs. The organs which are present in our body, it protects all the delicate internal organs. For example, the skull protects the brain, the rib cage protects the heart and the lungs, the backbone protects the spinal cord. Yes, it helps in the movement of our body parts. It helps us stand, run and walk together with the help of muscles. The human skeleton consists of 5 parts, that is skull, backbone, this is the skull, this is the backbone, this is the rib cage, this is the hind limbs, forelimbs and these are the girdles. Okay. So, now we are going to see about each one in detail. So, we have just seen about the skeleton, which is the framework in body made up of bones and cartilages. It provides shape to the body, protects the delicate internal organs and support in movement of body parts. Bones in skeleton. Okay, just now we have seen about the rib cage, the skull. Let us see about the skull. Skull or cranium protects the brain. It is the skeleton of our head. Jaw bones in skull helps in cutting and masticating. So, this is the jaw bone which helps in cutting and masticating. It means chewing. All sense organs except skin are entirely protected by skull. All sense organs except skin are entirely protected by the skull. Hyoid apparatus is an important piece of bone that supports the throat. Skull is the bony structure on the head. It is made up of 22 bones. Out of these, 8 flat bones from the brain box or cranium that encloses and protects our brain, and 14 bones form the shape of face. All the bones in the skull are fixed. The lower jaw is the only movable bone. All the bones in the skull are fixed. This jaw bone is only the movable bone in the skull. It enables us to chew food and speak. It enables us to chew and speak. So, this is about the skull. Now, let us see about vertebral column. Okay. This is also called as backbone or spine. This is also called as backbone or spine. The backbone forms the main axis of the skeleton. This forms main axis of the skeleton. It is made up of 33 small rings. It is made up of 33 small rings. The small bones join together to form a strong column called the vertebral column, which is also called as spine. It protects the delicate spinal cord. It protects the delicate spinal cord. It also provides support to the body. The joints where vertebrae meet allow slight movement. This allows us to bend or twist our back. This allows us to bend or twist slightly. We can bend forward, backward. Yeah, this is due to the movement of the backbone. This is due to the movement of the backbone. Now, we are going to see about ribs. There are 12 pairs of thin and curved bones called the ribs. There are 12 pairs of thin and curved bones called ribs. This is called as ribs, and this totally we can tell it as rib cage. This is rib cage. These bones form a rib cage that protects the heart and lungs. There are two delicate organs which is protected in the ribs, those are heart and the lungs. All the 12 pairs of ribs are joined to the backbone at the back. These 12 pairs of ribs are joined to the backbone at the back. At the first 10 pairs are joined at the sternum. This is the sternum. This is joined towards this and to the back. This is also called as chest bone or the breast bone. This is also called as chest bone or breast bone, that is sternum. It is in the front to form the rib cage. It is in the front of the rib cage. The last two pairs of the ribs, you can see here, these last two pairs of the ribs are called as floating ribs. These are called as floating ribs because they are free at the front end, because these are only at the back and these are not attached towards the front. So, that is why they are called as floating ribs. So, this is the sternum, these are the ribs and this is the backbone. So, this is about the rib cage. Let us see a video to understand more about the rib cage.
There are 12 pairs of ribs. Each rib is a thin, flat bone. First 7 pairs of ribs are called true ribs. Dorsally, they are attached to the thoracic vertebrae and ventrally connected to the sternum with the help of hyaline cartilage. The 9th and 10th pairs of ribs do not articulate directly with the sternum, but join the 7th rib with the help of hyaline cartilage. These are called false ribs. Last two pairs, 11th and 12th, of ribs are not connected ventrally and are therefore called floating ribs. Thoracic vertebrae, ribs and sternum together form the rib cage. Women tend to have narrower rib cages.
So, this is about the rib cage. We will see the video about vertebral column also.
Our vertebral column is formed by 26 serially arranged units called vertebrae. The vertebral column protects the spinal cord, supports the head and serves as the point of attachment for the ribs and musculature of the back. It extends from the base of the skull and constitutes the main framework of the trunk. Each vertebra has a central hollow portion, neural canal, through which the spinal cord passes. First vertebra is the atlas and it articulates with the occipital condyles. The vertebral column is differentiated into cervical 7, thoracic 12, lumbar 5, sacral 1 fused and coccygeal 1 fused regions starting from the skull. Can you notice the formation of 4 curves in the vertebral column? Because of these curves, the center of gravity is near the heels. This helps to maintain balance and makes walking erect on 2 legs much easier. A typical vertebra consists of 2 essential parts: an anterior segment, which is the vertebral body or centrum, and a posterior part, the vertebral or neural arch, which encloses the vertebral foramen. When the vertebrae is articulated with each other, the bodies form a strong pillar for the support of the head and trunk. And the vertebral foramina constitutes a canal for the protection of the spinal cord.
this is about the vertebrae. We will also see about the skeleton system.
Skeletal system consists of a framework of bones and a few cartilages. It is basically divided into two main divisions, namely the axial and appendicular skeleton. Axial skeleton comprises of skull, vertebral column and rib cage. Axial skeleton consists of 80 bones distributed along the main axis of the body. Appendicular skeleton comprises of bones of forelimbs and hind limbs and their girdles. Each limb is made up of 30 bones.
So, we have seen about the skeleton system and the parts of the skeleton. Those are the skull, the backbone, or which is also called as spine, and then we have seen about the rib cage. Next, we are going to see about bones of forelimbs. There are two pairs of limbs, a pair of forelimbs which are or arms. Forelimbs is nothing but arms, and a pair of hind limbs, that is nothing but legs. So, arms, the bones of arms are joined to the spine by shoulder girdle and the collarbone. Our upper arms, let us see this in image. You can see here. See, the bones of the arms are joined to the spine. These bones of the arms are joined to the spine at the back. This is shoulder girdle. This is called as shoulder girdle and the collarbone. Our upper arm has only one bone. Our upper arm has only one bone. This is the upper arm and this is the lower arm. This is the collarbone. This is the collarbone. Besides this down, we have here the shoulder girdle. Here this is the shoulder girdle, and the upper big bone is known as humerus. This is the humerus, and here we have the elbow. Then you can see the two different bones here. Here this bone is radius and this bone is ulna. Radius, ulna. This is the wrist. This is the wrist and this is the fingers. Let us have a quick review once again. This is the collarbone, shoulder girdle. Here, the upper arm bone is known as humerus. This is the elbow. This is radius. This is ulna. This is wrist, and these are the fingers. This is upper arm and this is the lower arm. So, there are 5 bones in our palm. There are the 5 bones in our palm. Our wrist is made up of 8 small bones. Our wrist is made up of 8 small bones. Those are called as carpals. Those are called as carpals. There are 5 bones in our palm. In our palm we have 5 bones. Those are called as metacarpals. Those are called as metacarpals. There are 3 bones in each finger and 2 in the thumb. In thumb we have 2 bones and in each finger we have 3 bones. So, this is about the limbs, 4 limbs or arms. Now, we are going to see about the hind limbs. The bones of legs, the bones of legs are called as hind limbs. The bones of legs are joined to the spine. This is the spine, the bones of legs are joined to the spine. This is the hip girdle. This is the hip girdle. Our upper leg has one bone called femur. This upper leg has one bone called femur, or we can also call it as thigh bone. It is called as thigh bone. This is the femur, this is the knee. Then here again we can see the 2 bones. This is called as tibia and this is fibula. this is tibia and this is fibula. This is the ankle, this is the foot and these are the toes. Ankle, foot and toes. This is the upper leg and this is the lower leg. So, let us have a quick review. This is the hip girdle, this is the upper bone, lower leg bone, upper leg bone, this is the femur, knee, this is the tibia, fibula, ankle, foot, toes and legs, foot, toes and legs. It is the longest bone in our body. Femur is the longest bone in our body. Our leg, lower leg has two bones called tibia and fibula. Lower leg has two bones. So, this is about the bones of four limbs. Those are humerus, radius, ulna, 8 carpals, 5 metacarpals and 14 digits. So, in total we have 64 limbs. The next, bones in hind limbs: femur, tibia, fibula, patella, tarsals, metatarsals and phalanges. So, in total we have 60 hind limbs. Now, we are going to see about the joints. Before this, we will have a review towards the girdle. There are two types of girdle, a pair of shoulder girdle and a pair of hip girdle The limbs are not joined directly to the backbone. These limbs are not joined directly to the backbone. Okay. These arms are joined to the shoulder girdle and then the legs are joined to the hip girdle. These are joined to the hip girdle and the shoulders are joined to the shoulder girdle. So, this is about the shoulder girdle and hip girdle. Human body and its movements. Let us start by finding out the movements that we make daily and then try to move out the various parts of the body. See, you move your hands, you sit down, you get up. So, there are few types of joints. Now, we are going to study about the joints. So, joints are joined to each other at different places. At two different places, joints are joined together. What is a joint? The place where two or more bones join is called a joint. The place where two or more bones join is called a joint. Bones are joined by a tough, flexible bands or elastic tissues called ligaments The ends of bones forming a joint is lined with a layer of tough and elastic tissue called cartilage. The cartilage makes the end of the bone smooth and reduces friction between and during the movement. Cartilage is also present in other parts of the body like upper parts of the ear and front parts of the nose. So, we will have a quick video to see about ligaments and tendons.
Two bones can be connected to each other by another type of connective tissue called the ligament. This tissue is very elastic. It has considerable strength. Ligaments contain very little matrix. Tendons connect muscles to the bones and are another type of connective tissue. Tendons are fibrous tissues with great strength but limited flexibility.
So, the ends of the bones forming a joint is lined with a layer of tough and elastic tissue called cartilage. The cartilage makes the ends of the bones smooth and reduces friction between the bones during movement. Cartilage is also present in other parts of the body like upper part of the ear and front part of the nose. Okay, till now we have seen about the parts of the skeleton system and skull, vertebral column and rib cage, forelimbs, hind limbs, pelvic girdle and shoulder girdle. Okay. So, in the next class we will see more about the joints Till that time you can read the lesson and understand the concept. Thank you students.